The stars were quiet. Captain Varel of the Farlani Alliance stood in the center of the command deck, eyes locked on the large screen in front of him. The space around their ship, Silverlight, was dark. Too dark. He could feel it. Something was wrong. Behind him, the crew moved quickly. Their eyes were tired, their faces pale. They had not slept in 2 days. Their ship had been running, hiding, and now they were out of time. "The Harkin fleet is closing in," said First Officer Lyra. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. Captain Varel nodded slowly. "How long?" 10 minutes. Maybe less." The room fell silent. No one spoke. They all knew what that meant. The Harkin Empire was cruel. It didn't take prisoners. It destroyed everything. Every Farlani world touched by them had burned. "We'll send the signal," Virel finally said. The crew hesitated. "Sir? Are you sure?" Lyra asked. "We were told to send it only if we had no choice. We have no choice now." He turned toward the console. With a deep breath, he pressed the glowing blue button. A soft hum filled the room as the distress beacon activated. The signal was special, was encrypted, coded only for their closest allies in the Galactic Peace Circle. Only trusted friends could understand it, at least. That's what they believed. Varel stared at the blinking light. "I hope someone hears it." On the other side of the galaxy, ... Earth. A small outpost station floated just beyond the edge of the solar system. Inside, a bored technician leaned back in his chair, sipping cold coffee. The screens in front of him showed nothing unusual until one blinked red. He sat up fast. "Unregistered signal detected," the system said. "Source, deep space, unknown origin." He tapped the keyboard quickly. The code looked strange. Human. Not anything Earth had seen before, but hidden deep in the signal was one line. Written in the oldest space language, "Help us, please." Back in the command deck of Silverlight, Varel waited. The enemy ships were closer now. They could see them, black, sharp, and silent. No message had come. No allies, no help. "It was a waste," Lyra said quietly. "No one is coming." Yes. Suddenly, dash beep. A small screen lit up.
What?
One message appeared. "Signal. Received help on the way?" The room filled with gasps. The crew shouted with joy, but then confusion. "Wait," said a technician. "This reply, it doesn't match any known ally signal." "What do you mean?" Varel asked. "It's not from the circle, it's from Earth." Varel's face changed. "Earth. That's a death world." Everyone went silent again. Earth was not part of the peace circle. It was young, wild, and full of dangerous life. The planet was known for harsh weather, deadly animals, and violent storms. The few stories about humans were strange. Some said they were monsters. Others said they were brave, powerful, even mad. Lyra stepped back. "We sent a signal for peace." And Deathworlders answered. Before anyone could speak more, the screen flashed again. "ETA. 3 minutes. Prepare for support." "No. Way there that fast?" someone whispered, then dash boom. A blast shook the enemy ships outside. Lights appeared in the darkness. Fast, silent ships came out of warp space. Black and red, shaped like blades. The humans had arrived. One of the Harkin ships fired a missile. Before it could hit, a human fighter shot it down. Then another, and another. Space lit up with fire. Human ships moved like nothing the Farlani had ever seen, fast, sharp, cold, in just 2 minutes. The Harkin fleet was gone, destroyed. Not a single human ship was lost. Inside Silverlight, no one spoke. They watched the screen in stunned silence. Then, a voice came over the radio. It was deep, calm, and full of strength. "This is Commander Ray of the Terran Defense Corps. Your signal was heard. You're safe now." Captain Varel looked around at his crew. Their faces were pale, not with fear, but with shock. "I thought they were monsters," Lyra said softly. Virel's voice was quiet. "No, there's something worse. something better. They're Deathworlders. He looked back at the stars, now lit with fire, and they just answered our call. The battlefield was quiet now. Pieces of the enemy ships floated in space, burning slowly. The stars behind them were calm again. But the Farlani crew of Silver Light could not calm down. They had just watched a miracle, or maybe a nightmare. Are they still out there? Whispered a young officer. Captain Varel nodded. Yes, they're not leaving. The human ships were still circling their position. They didn't answer calls. They didn't send more messages. They just watched. One of the Farlani crew said what everyone was thinking. What if they're not here to help? What if we're next? Sighed the human command ship. Commander Reg stood with his arms behind his back, eyes on the screen. Farlani. Vessels still holding position, said his tactical officer. Scared, said Red. They should be. The officer glanced at him. Orders. Ray. Thought for a moment. Send a message. One line. Let's see if they'll trust us. Back on Silver Light, a new message appeared on the main screen. Stand by. We are boarding. Panic there. Coming here? Said Officer Leora. We didn't ask them to dock, someone shouted. We can't stop them, Virel said calmly.
Oh.
They destroyed an entire Harken fleet in 2 minutes. If they wanted us dead, we'd be gone.
Ah.
Doors opened with a loud hiss. Everyone held their breath. The humans stepped in. There were 6 of them, all in black armor. Helmets like dark mirrors, heavy boots. Not one word spoken. Not one weapon raised, but they didn't have to. The first one removed their helmet. A woman, pale skin, cold eyes. I'm Commander Reg, she said. We're here to help. Her voice was flat, serious, without emotion. Captain Varel stepped forward slowly. Why? Red blinked. We heard your signal. You needed help. That's enough. But Earth isn't part of the Galactic Peace Circle, Varel said. No, Red replied. We aren't. Then why did you answer? Red looked at him for a long moment. Because we know what it's like to face monsters, and we don't wait for permission to stop them. Later that day, the Farlani ship and the human ship docked together. The 2 crews were completely different. Were thin, soft-skinned, peaceful. They moved carefully, spoke kindly, and feared war. Humans were strong, silent, and alert. They walked like predators. Even the way they stood felt like a challenge. A young Farlani officer tried to speak with one of the human soldiers. Is it true, he asked, that Earth is a death world? The soldier nodded once. Yes, but how do you survive there? The human smiled just a little. We don't just survive, we adapt. The Farlani officer looked confused. Adapt. Oh God. Soldier leaned in. Our planet teaches us to fight. To grow stronger, our animals try to eat us. Our weather tries to kill us. Our own species fought for thousands of years. He looked out the window, toward the stars. We became what we had to become that night. Captain Varel met with Commander Red in the observation room. The stars stretched before them like a silent ocean. You came here without knowing us. You risked your people, why? Virel asked. Red didn't answer right away. We monitor all distress signals, she said. Finally, we have scouts, listeners, watchers across sectors. When we heard yours, we moved fast. You've seen what the Harken have done. She looked him in the eyes. You thought you sent that message to your friends? You were wrong. Your friends didn't come. We did. Virel was quiet. Will your people stay? He asked. Red turned away. Only if you want us to. If we say no? She smiled faintly. Then we leave. You'll probably be dead by next week. He chuckled, surprised. You don't speak like a diplomat. I'm not, she replied. I'm a Deathworlder. It's back in space. The stars moved slowly as the 2 ships flew side by side. In the shadows, another Harken ship watched. They are working with Earth now, said the Harken captain. A dark voice responded through the screen. And destroy them both. Use everything. The Harken fleet was preparing for war. But this time, they weren't the hunters. They were the prey. The human ship Talon floated silently above the Farlani base. Its lights were dark, its windows black. No messages, no movement. But inside, something strange was happening. A Farlani's secret mission reel. A young Farlani soldier stood in the shadows near the docking tunnel. His heart beat fast. He wasn't supposed to be here. I just want to see how they live, he whispered to himself. What are they hiding? Wore a stealth suit and had a tiny recorder. His job was simple. Sneak into the human ship, record everything, and return. No contact, no sound. Just information. Farlani leaders were scared. The humans had saved them. Yes, they didn't understand them. Deathworlders were powerful, dangerous and quiet to quiet. Inside the beast's belly, Rillen entered through a side hatch, while the human guards were busy unloading supplies. The hallway inside was cold, metal, and silent. Red lights blinked on the walls. Strange machines buzzed in the distance. He moved slowly, staying low. Then he heard something voices. He followed the sound, crawling behind crates, until he reached a large training room. Rylan peeked through a small gap and froze. Inside, 6 humans were fighting, not with weapons. With fists, 2 men sparred in the middle of the room, moving fast, hitting hard. Blood dripped from one's nose. The other had a bruise on his arm, but they didn't stop. They laughed. Rylan watched in shock. They're hurting each other. For fun, then? The 2 stopped. A woman stepped forward, Commander Rez. Her voice was sharp. You don't train to win. You train to survive. One day something stronger will come, and when it does, you don't run. You adapt. You fight. The room went quiet. She pointed to the wall, where a set of words were written in bold red letters. Death World Code. Adapt. Survive. Protect your own. Show no mercy to monsters. Die with honor, or live as fire. Rylan stared at the words. This was no normal army. This was something else. Caught as Rylan moved to leave, a footstep echoed behind him. He turned slowly. A human soldier stood there holding a plasma rifle. He didn't aim it, but his face was unreadable. Rylan raised his hands. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spy. The soldier didn't move. Then he lowered his weapon. You're not the first, the soldier said. Curious? Rylan nodded. You want to know what we are? The man said quietly. You've heard the stories. Earth is a death world. Humans are killers. Monsters, right? I don't know what to believe, Rylan whispered. The soldier leaned against the wall. You think we like fighting? You think we enjoy blood? He shook his head. We were born on a planet that tried to kill us every day. Storms, fire, beasts, even our own kind. We learned early if you don't get strong, you die. Rylan looked up at him. Then why help us? The human paused. Because we remember what it feels like to be hunted, to be weak. We promised long ago if we ever became strong enough, we'd protect those who couldn't fight. He looked down the hallway. We keep our word. The truth reaches the Farlani Council later that night. Rylan stood before the Farlani commanders. You broke orders, one of them said. You spied on an ally. I had to know, Rylan replied. He told them everything about the training, the code, the conversation. The room was quiet. They are not monsters, Rylan said. They are survivors. They're strong because they had to be. To protect, Laurel, now serving as Virel's second-in-command, stepped forward. Maybe we need to learn from them, she said. The peace circle always taught us to hide, to run. Maybe it's time we stand. Captain Virel nodded. Then we begin. We learn the code, we fight beside them, not just to survive, but to end this war. In the shadows. Far away. Deep. In a Harkin war chamber, a general listened to a report. Humans are training the Farlani, said a scout. Their alliance is growing. The general's face twisted in rage. Then we crush them before they become a true threat. He turned to his commander. Send the Black Fleet. The war had changed. For the first time in years, the Farlani were not running. They were standing still, watching, waiting, and beside them stood the Deathworlders. The calm before the strike inside. The Farlani command base, Captain Varel looked at a star map. Red dots marked every Harken station in their sector. Too many. Commander Red entered quietly. She placed a small chip on the table. "This is the plan," she said. Varel raised an eyebrow. "You've already chosen the target?" She nodded. "We strike tonight." Leora stepped forward. "That's dangerous. You've never attacked a Harken base before." Red looked at her. "You've never had humans at your side before either." Preparing for war, the Farlani soldiers gathered outside, watching the humans prepare. Heavy weapons were cleaned. Small dark ships were loaded. Soldiers moved in complete silence. No yelling. No emotion. Ryland stood next to one of them. "Do you always prepare this way?" the human soldier answered without looking up. "When we go in, we don't plan to come back. That keeps us sharp." Alan swallowed hard. "We train to survive," the soldier continued. "But we fight to win." Launch time as the Farlani watched from orbit. 5 small human ships left the main cruiser and vanished into hyperspace. Captain Varel sat beside Red in the control room. "Only 5 ships?" he asked. She nodded. "That's all we need." Strike in deep space, a hidden Harken base floated inside an asteroid belt. It was large, powerful, and heavily guarded. Hundreds of Harken troops patrolled the surface. They never expected an attack. That was their mistake. The human ships exited warp just outside sensor range. They moved like ghost snowlights, no noise. Then, all at once, boom. One ship fired EMP charges, cutting the base's power. Another dropped high-speed drones, slicing through defense turrets. The rest moved straight toward the core. Inside the base, alarms screamed. Harken troops ran through the halls, shouting orders. But it was too late. One by one, the power cells exploded. Fire filled the corridors. In under 5 minutes, the entire base was destroyed. Shock across the galaxy back on silver light. A message came through. Target eliminated. Returning, the crew cheered. "This is not just survival," Varel said. "This is victory." Across the galaxy, other races took notice. "The Farlani have joined with Earth," said one ambassador. "Maybe it's time we stop watching and start fighting." The Harken Ragan, the Harken capital. General Kure smashed his fist against the table. "They attacked us. On our own ground." "They didn't just attack," another officer said. "They made it look easy." "Who helped them?" "Earth." The word echoed like thunder. The Harken general's eyes turned red with anger. "Then we send a message." "Of our own?" "Earth responds." The next day, a warning came. A Harken ship entered a small Earth outpost. No sound, no answer. Just a silent black ship, floating close to a human station. The human operator spoke once. "You are entering Terran space. Turn back now." No reply. Then a voice came through the Harken radio. "You think your death world scares us?" The human smiled. "It's not the world you should fear." Then everything went dark. The Earth station fired a single missile silent, visible. The Harken ship vanished in flames. The humans didn't cheer. They just returned to work. Fear spreads. The Harken Empire started to panic as their scouts disappeared. Their bases burned. Stories spread of human weapons that could bend light, of soldiers who didn't sleep, of Deathworlders who laughed in the face of death in a council meeting. Harken Admiral shouted, "They are not just soldiers, they are shadows, they are fire." But it was too late. The fear had begun. The Farlani learned on the Farlani base. Soldiers began training with humans. They lifted heavier weights, learned to move faster. They studied the Deathworld code. They no longer asked why humans were so strong. They asked how they could become strong to Captain. Rel watched it all from the CE tower. "I thought we were alone," he said. Red stood beside him. "You were," she replied, until Earth answered. The stars were quiet again, but this time it was not peace. It was fear. The Harken probe in a dark corner of space. A small Harken scout ship floated slowly toward the edge of human territory. The crew whispered to each other. "Is it true? Earth is a death world." "Yes. They say even their air tries to kill them. Then why are we here? The captain growled. Because the generals want answers. If Earth is strong, we must know how strong. They moved forward. Into the shadow of Earth. Silent warning on the edge of the solar system. A human listening station picked up the Harken ship. One operator sat up straight. Unidentified ship approaching. The commander stepped forward. Try speaking. The operator opened the channel. You are entering Terran space. Turn around now. No answer. The screen showed the Harken ship getting closer. A second message was sent. This is your final warning. Still no reply. The commander didn't speak. He simply raised a hand. A drone missile was launched silent. Invisible. Perfect. The Harken ship exploded in one flash of light. Gone. No trace. The message back in the Harken war chamber? Silence filled the room as the report came in. The scout ship disappeared, destroyed? A general asked. Worse, said the technician. There's nothing left, not even metal. A long silence. The Supreme Commander stood up. We've awakened something. Something old. Earth Secretin. Silver light. The Farlani watched a video clip. A human weapon, just one, had turned an entire asteroid base into dust. Rylan looked at Lyra. Why do they have such weapons? To scare us, she whispered. Commander Red, standing behind them, spoke. No, not to scare. To remind. Remind who? Varel asked. Red looked out at the stars. The galaxy forgot what humans can do. We're just reminding them. Stories in the stars across the galaxy. Stories began to spread like fire. One tale said a single human soldier defeated 10 Harken warriors with his bare hands. Another claimed Earth had ships that could turn invisible. Some said human minds could not be read by any alien. The galaxy didn't know what was true, but it didn't matter. They were afraid. Even the Peace Circle, once calm and proud, now whispered Earth's name with respect. An old friend returns a small ship, arrived at the Farlani base. It was from one of their oldest allies, Hilari, a peaceful race who had once ignored their calls for help now. Their leader stepped off the ship with shaking hands. We're sorry, he said. We didn't answer your distress signal. We were afraid. But now, Virel asked, we want to help. And we want to speak with Earth. Red raised an eyebrow. Why? The Kalari leader bowed his head. Because we want to survive. Harken plan in a hidden chamber. The Harken's Supreme Commander gave a final order. We can't win this war while humans walk free. What shall we do? His general asked. He leaned forward. Find Earth's weakness. Every Death Worlder has. One, he smiled coldly. Even fire burns out if you strike the heart. Training with Death Worlders back on the Farlani base. Training had changed. Farlani soldiers no longer asked for comfort. They asked for combat. Rylan ran beside a human on the training field. He was covered in sweat and bruises. He tripped and fell, but got up again. The human smiled. That's it. You're learning.
Oh.
Learning what? Rylan asked, panting. To be dangerous, to survive, to make sure no enemy ever thinks of hurting you again. Final words that night, Varel watched the stars. They wanted allies, he said. Reg stood beside him. They got Death Worlders. He looked at her. Are we becoming like you? She shook her head. No, you're becoming what you were always meant to be. She walked away, her boots echoing in the quiet hallway. Outside, the stars shimmered, and somewhere deep in space, a new war was beginning. But this time, the shadows belonged to Earth. The war was changing fast. Planets were choosing sides. Armies were moving. And now, the biggest challenge stood in front of them. The Harken's final stronghold. A fortress no one had ever touched, until now. The fortress in the void, the Harken called it Blackhold, a giant space station, hidden inside. A dead star system, protected by shields, mines, and hundreds of enemy ships. For years, it was untouchable. Even the Peace Circle feared it. But the humans didn't. They studied it, mapped it, planned, and now they were ready. A risk too big inside the silver light, the Farlani leaders gathered around the war table. The fortress blinked red on the screen. "That's suicide," one officer said. "Too many guns. Too many ships." Varel looked at Red. "You still want to do this?" She didn't blink. "We finished what we started. But we're not." "Ready?" someone yelled. Red leaned forward. "You'll never be ready. That's the truth of war." She stood tall. "You don't win by waiting. You win by striking first." The plan, the human war team explained the plan in short, clear steps. First, a stealth unit would cut the fortress's power grid. Then, drones would drop jamming fields to stop their weapons. After that, ground teams would land and break open the core. The goal: destroy the command center from inside. "We'll hit them where they think they're safe," Rez said. The Farlani soldiers looked unsure until one spoke up. "Rylan, I'll go," said. Everyone turned. "I want to fight." Beside the Deathworlders, slowly, other Farlani stood. "We'll go too." They were afraid, but they were ready. The infiltration. The battle began in silence. Human stealth ships flew in under cloak. Drones dropped like falling stars. Boom, one power tower went dark. Boom dash another. Suddenly, Blackhold's lights flickered. Inside, alarms rang. "What's happening?" a Harkin officer shouted. "Unknown intruders. Systems offline." Then the walls shook. The Deathworlders had arrived. The ground fight inside the fortress. Human and Farlani soldiers moved together. Farlani used their speed. Humans used brute force. Together they cut through metal doors and enemy lines. Rylan fired. His first weapon. His hand shook, but he didn't stop. A Harkin warrior charged. Rylan froze. Then a human tackled the Harkin, slamming him to the ground. "You good?" the human asked. Rylan nodded. "I am now." The command room commander Red led a small team toward the core. Bullets flew. Walls burned. She didn't stop. One soldier fell. She grabbed his rifle and kept going. Inside the command room, the Harkin. General waited. "You think this is the end?" shouted. Red didn't speak. She threw a plasma charge into the control unit. Boom. Everything went white. The cost black hole began to fall apart. Fire spread, shields dropped, human ships pulled back. "Evacuate." "The teams," Varel ordered. But not all of them came back. Some stayed behind to finish the job. A new dawn when the smoke cleared. Blackhold was gone, destroyed, the greatest Harkin weapon. Erased all across the galaxy, the news spread. Earth had done the impossible, with the Farlani beside them. The funeral they held, a small ceremony on silver light. Names were read. Helmets placed on a black table. Red didn't speak. She just looked at the stars. Varel stood beside her. "You lost many people." She nodded. "We always do." He looked down. "I'm sorry," she finally spoke. "We didn't come for peace. We came to protect."
This is the price.
A message across space, a Harkin signal, was captured later that night. It said only this: "Earth cannot be stopped. Farlani cannot be broken. We must find another way." The shift all across the galaxy, things changed. Worlds that once feared humans now asked for alliances. Races that once ignored the Farlani now wanted to train with them. For the first time in galactic history, Deathworlders were leading the way. The war wasn't over. The Harkin were scattered. Their bases were broken. Their strongest fortress was gone. But victory did not feel like a celebration. It felt quiet, too quiet. The return, the human and Farlani ships came back from the battle. Some were damaged. Some were missing. The docking bay was full of noise, repairs, alarms, sparks flying, but the soldiers were silent. Rej stepped off her ship, her armor burned, her arm bleeding. She didn't notice. She just looked around. "Where's Delta Team?" she asked. A soldier lowered his eyes. "They didn't make it." Red closed her eyes. No tears. No words, only silence. A ship without a name, one. Farlani dropship returned. Empty. Ryland stood by its door, looking inside. There were helmets on the floor, blood on the wall, weapon half-dash melted. He didn't know the names of the humans who had died there, but he remembered their voices, their laughs, their strength. They didn't run, he whispered. Lara stood beside him. They knew the risk. Ryland looked up. They knew. And they went anyway. The names we remember that evening, the humans held a ceremony. No big speeches, no music, no lights, just a long table with rows of names written on metal plates. 1. Soldier read the names aloud. One by one, no one spoke. No one moved. When the last name was spoken, Commander Red placed her hand on the table. "Thank you," she said. Then she walked away. Varel's question later that night, Varel found Red on the observation deck. The stars were clear. The galaxy looked calm, but they both knew better. "You don't celebrate," Varel said. "Nothing to celebrate," Red replied. "But you won," he said. "At what cost?" She turned to him. "You want to understand humans?" Nodded. "We don't fight because we enjoy it," she said. "We fight because someone has to." She looked at her hands, burned, dirty, tired. Peace isn't free. Someone always pays the price. The fire within the training room. Ryland stood in front of the Death World Code. He had read it many times before. Adapt, survive, protect. Your own, show no mercy to monsters. Die with honor, or live as fire. He touched the last line. Live as fire. He whispered. He finally understood. It wasn't just about power, it was about choice. Humans chose to fight, even when it hurt. Even when they knew they might never return. The Farlani changed Lara, stood in front of a room full of new Farlani soldiers. They were younger, smarter, stronger, all trained under human programs. She held up a medal. Armband, a gift from a fallen human soldier. "This is not just a weapon," she said. "It's a promise." The soldiers stood straighter. "We do not fight because we want war," Lyra continued. "We fight so no one else has to." Across the galaxy, news of the victory spread far. Worlds that once laughed at Earth now sent envoys. Species that once ignored the Farlani now asked for help, and deep in hidden Harkin space. The last generals argued. They are weak now. Shouted, double quotes. "No," the leader said. "They are stronger than ever." He pointed to a report, a list of ships. Not just Earth and Farlani. Others had joined them. The Death Worlders have started something bigger than we can stop. Rez's final words. Commander Rez stood before her soldiers. Some were injured, some were silent. All were ready. "We lost good people," she said, "and we'll lose more." She looked at them. "But every world that stands free tomorrow will stand because of you." She raised her hand. "This is not the end. This is the reason we fight." Her voice was quiet but strong. "For the ones who are gone, for the ones who still breathe, for the fire that never dies." The war was not over, but everything had changed. The galaxy would never be the same. United sky on the edge of a quiet star system, fleet waited. Not just humans, not just Farlani, but ships from 10 different worlds. Races that once feared Earth now stood beside them. Captain Varel looked out the window of silver light. He saw banners he never thought he'd see flying together. "They answered our call," he whispered. Commander Ray stood beside him. "No, they answered yours." Last Harkin stronghold far away. The final Harkin world spun in silence. Their fleets were broken. Their leaders dead or missing. But the last of them still held one planet heavily armed, full of old weapons and darker secrets. A voice crackled through the humans' communication channel. "Surrender. You cannot defeat us without losing everything." Commander Red responded. "We already lost everything. That's how we became fire." And with that, the final battle began. The final assault. The United Fleet moved together. Humans at the front, Farlani right behind. Then the others, Silari, Drask, and even the quiet Vosh. The sky turned red as weapons fired. Across space, Harken ships fought hard, but they were no longer facing cowards. They were facing a wall of survivors, of warriors. Deathworlders and those who had trained with them. Rillan led a Farlani ground squad. "We fight like humans," he said. "No," Lero replied. "We fight like ourselves. It's now stronger." Inside the storm, the planet's surface, explosions shook the ground. Red led the charge through smoke and fire. She didn't give speeches. She just moved forward, and her team followed. Blasters, drones, flames, and then silence. They had reached the command tower. The last Harken general stood waiting, blood on his armor, his eyes cold. "You think this is victory?" he hissed. "You're just animals." Red stepped forward. "No," she said quietly. "We're the future." She fired once. The war was over. After the war weeks passed, wounded were healed, dead were buried, but something new was born. A council of all the allied races was built near Earth, not a peace circle, not another silent group. This was different. This was a wall, a shield, a flame, a new codon, a tall monument, built on neutral ground. The new Galactic Alliance carved 6 lines based on the Deathworld code, now changed. Adapt to survive. Stand for the weak. Fight monsters together. Never forget the fallen. Burn bright, even in the dark. The fire never dies. Varel stood before the monument with Red. "Do you think peace will last?" he asked. Red looked at the sky. "Peace is never permanent, but strength can protect it." She turned to him. "And now you're strong." One last message as signal was sent to the far edges of the galaxy from Earth. A simple message. We are not conquerors. We are not saviors. But if your world is in danger and you are out of time, send a signal. The fire will come. Rylands. Words years later, Ryland stood before young soldiers. Farlani, human, Drask. Mare. They were new. Fresh, eager. He looked at them with pride. "When the war came, we thought Earth would bring chaos," he said. "But they brought something else." He smiled. "They brought the courage to stand," pointed to the stars. "Some say Earth is just a death world, but I was there. I saw what they really are." He raised his hand. "They are a spark. And when they rise, the whole room answered. The fire never dies."